Bom dia. I will not present the regional reality. How do we work in Madeira? Our institutional framework puts us inside the Education and Human Resources Secretary, side by side with sports and youth and professional qualification and labor between others. Inside education, we have our own department only for sports. We take care for physical and motor expression in primary, for school sports in secondary and the rest of the basic schools, and also for adapted motor activity. That's something that changed just 2 years ago. We have another service inside education, such as multimedia, kindergarten, first cycle, education for disabled people, and others. In our service, we are 24 sport managers and coordinators. What do? We organize in all these sports listed below regular competitions every month that occurs in schools. We also organize a major annual event that you already know, Festa do Desporto Escolar, where everyone gets together playing all the sports. What's the relation between physical education and sports school in Madeira? We have common sports. We have the same teachers. The teachers that give PE are the same that give the trainings of school sport. But school sport is optional, while PE is mandatory. In PE we have a nuclear part and alternative parts, so the schools can adapt their PE classes to their reality. It's important to say that in Portugal, to be a PE teacher in secondary, you must have a 5 years degree, currently a master degree. To be a physical and expression motor teacher and a classroom teacher, we had in a higher superior schools a 4-year degree until some years ago, where they could teach the basic school and also be PE teachers in these lower levels. For who do we serve? We serve children from kindergarten to basic school. We organize competitions for every public schools from primary in Madeira, 100, and plus 30 kindergartens. Because of that, we have the totality of the students in Madeira in primary and almost all in kindergarten. We have 12,000 students, and we have 96 specialized teachers in motor activity and physical education that works together with the classroom teachers, sometimes alone and other times. I will explain later. To the third basic years in secondary, we have the 32 schools, around 5,000 students. What happens is that we give a pack of around 2,000 hours to train all these sports. And if we had the teachers working only on school sports, we would have 92 teachers. But because the teachers also give PE, we have only in Madeira around 300 teachers working with us. In adapted motor activity, we have around 1,000 users, not only students but also the adult people that need this support, in 20 institutions and all schools that require this service. And only in adapted motor activity, we have 16 teachers. How long? It changes a lot. In kindergarten, we have twice 30 minutes. It belongs to the curricular, that's C. It's mandatory for everyone, and it's supposed to be the kindergarten teacher and the physical education teacher. In primary, in the first 2 years, we have twice 60 minutes. One is mandatory, part of the curriculum. The other hour is in the curricular enrichment, is optional. But it's a fact that almost all the students have it. The parents want it. It's in the school, the teacher is the same, everything, it's easy on that. From 8 to 9 years old, we increase 1 hour. We have 1 hour mandatory and 2 hours optional. From 10 to 18 18 years old, the kids have those sports we listed before. We have each sport can have 4 times 45 minutes to do the weekly practice. Then they have the games on the weekend, every month, normally. We also have a credit, it's 4 times 45 minutes, so they can do the school practice. They can have the tournaments, they can practice other sports other than those we have regular competitions. And we also have in each school a coordinator that does the connection between the school and our service. What's the relation between federated and school sports? We have some protocols established in some sports, in swimming, in orienteering, in athletics. In some sports we have protocols that allow us to do a better job, and we both work the same sports. We both try to give skills to the students. But we don't allow federated students to participate in their own sports in school sport. Why? Because we want to give equality between all schools. We want to give diversity to the students that already play one sport in the federated and should have another experience and can have another experience in school. Don't limitate the students only to one thing because they are good. They can be good in many sports, and usually they are. And we want to increase sport practicing. What we want is to more people come to do the sport, and this rule has bring us results in this way. We are getting more students in sport because we allow them all to learn and all to compete in equality. Thanks for your attention. Bye.
Thank you very much. Thank you for being here. I think good that we are practicing some sport because we need some endurance this morning. So thank you for still being here. I've been impressed by the presentation of what is going on in Madeira in school sport. I think it could be a good model for many places in Europe. So thank you for the good job that you are doing. This is very important. And I have the pleasure to present a survey that has been done actually in Portugal. The Professor Onofre has directed this survey about physical education and sport in Europe, and from the reality, the individual reality, to the collective desirability. It means that we were asking people what is going on in their country, but what they would suggest that we have for Europe, meaning that we could have a kind of consensus for Europe about school sport, of course. So I will have the same plan than all my colleagues. The introduction, I will just go back, but very briefly on what is going on during this survey, because this is within the school context, of course. So for more than 100 years, we have official curricula in PE in Europe. So it means that we have a long tradition, we together have a long tradition in PE. But even if we have this long tradition, in 1978, UNESCO thought this is important to have a charter of PE and sport, saying that this is a universal right for every citizen. All states should provide quality physical education, not only physical education. And of course, also the possibility, the access to sports. Eupea is working on this, so I'm sometimes just telling you what we are doing, but the president already told you about this, so we are working at what is quality PE to make sure that we are able to have the indicators that we need for us, of course, for the everyday life, for our work, but also to be able to have evidence when we are speaking to the policymakers. So we are working at the system level, at the school level, and at the classroom level. And it means that if we want to achieve this, then we need EU Observatory for PE, and probably this is a part also of the EU guidelines for physical activities. So we see a place for us, for our association, for our association, because you are also within our association, to play a role, a political role in Brussels and in Strasbourg. So the survey has been done in two parts. The first one is the presence and the reality of the situation of PE and school sport. And the second one is the wish of all countries about PE and school sport. If you see the issues that we were speaking about in the survey, it was the program, the assessment, the aspect, and the name, and of course the extracurricular activities. So today I will just focus on the extracurricular activities, which are usually the school sports. This is a challenge for PE. I'm just taking the PE and the school sport together here, and Eupea is involved in this. Is concerned and working to develop and promote the status of PE in the curricula, but also in the extracurricular time as school sport. Of course, the Eupea is working to make sure that we have a good allocation time, so enough time to teach, but also the possibility to have this time out of the school time. And of course, the PE teachers' education is the same concern for the PE and for the school sport. And the resources are also for both sides. And then, as I said before, we need evidence-based document when we are going to speak with the local or the policymakers at the European level as well. So at the moment, there is a trend, and this is a positive trend. If you see in Europe, the EU and the Council of Europe, but also the World Health Organization and the UNESCO are all in favor of more and better physical activities for all the citizens, for different reasons. Because the health costs are very high, so we think that we could have more physical activity, but also because they are concerned about the well-being, the real well-being of the people, so it means the mental, the physiological, the societal, and so well-being of the people. So I think we have to play this role now, because there is a place for us to play this role for physical education and also for school sport in general, because PE and sport are part of the political agenda at the moment in Europe. So we have to take this chance. And the importance of PE is, of course, essentially integral part of education in social and human development. And I think that school sports can be a complement of this PE, of course. The concept of school sport in Europe, you have heard a lot of information already about this. I will just take maybe the categories of Hartmann. You know Ken Hartmann, who wrote different survey of about physical education. He said that we have 3 models of school sport in the world this time: the non-formal, the school-based, and the general public, civil and societal. And you saw that even in Europe, in our small group that we're here, we have the different model. We could discuss about which is the best one, what we should choose, what is the best possibility. In Europe, in this survey, we had information about the name of this school sport, and we can say that there is one consistency. Almost everywhere, we have school in it. So it means that this physical activity, this school, is done within the school context. So we are part of this school. I think we should be concerned about this school sport, of course. Almost all the European countries are having school sport. This is also, I would say, good news. And this is the importance for almost all the people participating to the survey, that it will be for lifelong learning activities. In general, for this survey, we had 1 to 3 hours per week. The desirable situation now for the people who did answer was at the minimum 2 hours for all children, beside, of course, the physical education. When Sweden would like to have 5 hours, it means that clearly 1 hour a day for everyone. It is mandatory or optional. So interesting, this is the desirability. So 3 countries say that it should be optional, France, Finland, and Netherlands, when 11 countries, very surprising actually, say that it should be part of the curricula when it is per essence extracurricular activities. But this is what we get when we were asking the people. So you just get the information. Interesting, so it means that many people would like to have more possibility, to offer more possibility to the children, and even to maybe force them to participate more. This is a question mark for us also. So we could add also that maybe using also the school sport as an inclusion possibility for the children is at this moment of the situation in different countries could be a good possibility to participate in the values like democracy or human rights. The relationship between the school sport and the federated sport, we could not get really precise information during the survey, but I just take one example because our colleagues from Belgium are not here. They have what they call a flexible PE teacher. The PE teacher, this is a little bit like in France. In France, they have those 3 hours in the service that they have to do, and in Belgium, in some place, the community will pay the PE teachers for half time in the school and for half time in the club. So this is one of the examples that exist in Europe, but this is probably one exception also. The institutional affiliation of school sport, usually it is in the educational ministry, as the physical education as well as the school sport. Switzerland being an exception, but Rodi was showing this very precisely, so I'm not going to go back to this, I would say, originality for Switzerland. The professional status of human resources of school sport, in some country, usually we have PE teachers, but in some country they will give the school sport to some club, and we see a kind of danger, but why this is a danger and what are the possibilities maybe for better relation, how we could manage this without, as we said, selling our soul. So, but this is the situation that we get doing this survey. In Europe in general, concern about who is teaching, the quality of this teaching, the relation with PE, but also a chance for good relation with the club. This is what is coming out in this survey. What kind of students are involved? So we had 13 out of 17 countries answering to this question. Only Croatia said that they have 2 hours for the kindergarten, but the parents have to pay. Generally, this is not included in the service of the school. In the primary school, we have from 1 to 4 hours. If you look at the different countries, desirable situation in Europe goes from 1 to 6 if we ask in all the countries. So I would say that the mean would be to have 3 hours at least for every child per week. Secondary schools and college, it goes from 1 to 6 hours per week again. So you see the very, very big difference from 1 hour for Slovenia and UK to 4, 5, or 6 hours to Italy, Portugal, Sweden, and Switzerland in different places. The situation which is desired for Europe, it goes from 1 to 5, and so the mean will be 2.4, 2.5 hour for every pupil for every week. So the college it's almost like the secondary school. the participation in extracurricular activities are not common in some countries. In some countries, yes, in some countries, no. Usually, there are some possibility. Not all the children are participating. Only the countries that are offering extracurricular activities wish to have the same for Europe. Interesting that if they do not have, they don't wish something more for all over Europe. So they don't see the point, maybe because they have no experience. And in some countries, they could not answer because they are not able to, it's not, there is no data exactly about what is going on, because this is per school or the community is regulating, this is not exactly clear. So for Eupea, this is clear that we need more precise research about school sport as part of the EU physical activity guideline, actually, and of course also to implement the UNESCO Charter and to include also all the children, even the one with chronic disease and obesity at the moment. So the conclusion of this research is that there is different conception of PE and of course also of school sport as well. Sometimes even conceptual issues are missing. This is not very clear. Some people are doing, but maybe this is not very, the concept is not always very, very clear. But when it goes on desirability, we have more consistency in the country. So we know what we want, at least. Sometimes we don't know exactly what we have, but we know exactly what we want. So the name of the subject also is clear for everybody. Everybody wants to have physical education or something similar in the Nordic country. I know the translation is a bit different. The main aims, the curriculum, are the good example for consensus. So I think we are on the way to find a good consensus, a common concept also for physical education and school sport in Europe, respecting, of course, the difference and the specificity of the place. And if we take the main objective for 14 countries out of the 17, this is exercise and health, physical activities, social and personal development, but of course, learning is one of the main concerns for all the physical education teacher. And PE, not school sport, but PE is a mandatory subject at all levels in the country that we were asking, so it was 17 countries. Also in the kindergarten, this is the wish from all the countries. The evidence is that sometimes we have insufficient number of weekly hours to develop the discipline. In some countries, number of students per class are very high. But important is to know that the potential learning and monitoring of students' practice are essential for the development of PE objectives. Always we have nothing to do in the school. So we have to make sure that we are going for this. So the physical education involves the learning of physical activities to promote a healthy life in 3 dimensions, learning to enjoy and how to play different PA. So this is the conclusion of this research. Improve physical aptitude, learning how to improve physical aptitude and activities. And I just put the physical literacy from Whitehead. I think this is interesting to know that what she's saying, that this is acquired as young people make progress in movement mastery and develop self-confidence and self-esteem in this significant aspect of their human potential. And we are working to promote and to develop this human potential of our students. So thank you very much, and thank you for the job that we are doing. I think we need to be together and to work for this physical education and the school sport. Thank you very much.
We are now starting the debate. Please, we are open to your questions. You're welcome.
Bom dia, or good morning. I'm a teacher of primary school. and I work in a school.
Your name is?
Duarte Smash. I like to be here today because I have nice ideas. I heard you a lot and I enjoy it. But like I work in primary school, I have a thing that I want to know the real opinion of teacher Ferro. You say that you don't think that in Madeira we're doing the right thing, putting kids of 8, 9, 10 years competing in basketball or football or handball once in a year. So the real thing in Madeira, the reality, is that in school we teach the kids playing basketball, handball and all that, and then in the finish we have like 12 hours of basketball or handball sometimes, and then we put them competing together once in a year. So you think that you speak about the, like I said, the precoces, especialização precoce, precoces specialization. So I think that we are going the right way. But I think that your opinion, we are not going the right way. But maybe you don't know the reality in Madeira. When you speak about kids of 8, 9, 10 years that don't have the opportunity to practice any kind of game, working team, like an organization club. In Funchal, we have here in Madeira clubs, and like when you have 8 years, 9, 10 years, you can practice the games, basketball and all that, and then you have the opportunity to compete each other. You have the opportunity to compete in places outside of the real city that is Funchal. You don't have that opportunity. And then, like, I passed that, and then it was only the sports schools that have the opportunity to give me to practice like basketball when I had 8, 9, 10, 11 and 12 years. Because I was not in Funchal. In Funchal they can play. Out of Funchal, it's not easy to have that to compete. So I want to know your real opinion. And then in Madeira, if you think that we are going the right way or in the wrong way. Like I told you now, the reality of Madeira. Thank you. And sorry something.
You are welcome. Now I will not speak in Portuguese, I will answer in English. And thank you for your question, difficult one. Because I cannot judge what you are doing here. I'm not here to see what you are really doing. What I said, it's if you want to bring the sport for the first years, I think that's a wrong solution. But I'm speaking about the sport way that we know that the clubs do, with the aim to go to the victory, to go to the maximum, to take the profit of the maximum of the kids. We have physical education programs that sustain that the kids from 6 till 10 years should have a global skills education. And that's what I believe in the society. If all kids have a large abilities, large skills that they can jump, they can catch, they can do it, all that basic skills in the right way, they are ready to perform all kind of sports in the near future. Even in physical education programs, there are some sports that they can start earlier. They can start with gymnastics, they can start with football, and they can start with pre-sport games, that you know that are, and even they can compete in those pre-sport games. But if they have those basic skills fixed, I don't see any problem to organize some projects with competition around a sport. I don't see it. I prefer to guarantee to all kids that they have the basic skills as maximum until 8, 9 years old. That's what we sustain.
Okay, we have a doubt. Bruno Cremonese from France.
No. I'm interested about what you say, because I agree with you. And it's very interesting when the children can play in primary school. I don't think so we must do the opposition between the basic skill and the play games and the possibility for the children to play in a sport. Because when you play 3 against 3 in the school and you have many fields, a lot of children can play together. I think so at the end of this period they can develop the basic skill. So for me, the physical education, if we want to continue to say, okay, we participate to the big idea like democracy or like happiness or something like this, if we didn't work about the concrete things about the sport, I think so is only wine. It's not, and the children, they stay because it's an obligation, but they think about the sport, what they can do after the school. So we must have the connection between the idea and what the children concretely do in the field. So in France, we are support this idea to propose for the children in primary school and in college and higher school, secondary school, to have the possibility to practice and to learn sport in the school. Because some of the children, they have only the school to learn.
Okay, we are going best to Rita.
In Finland, I told already that we are going to get a new curriculum in 2 years. And in this new curriculum, we are not going to have any name of any sports. We are going to have only the motor skills. We are talking about running, walking, going around, hitting, and so on. So we don't mention any sports in our coming new curriculum.
Oh, you have a question. Thank you.
Hello.
Please tell your name and your affiliation.
I'm Professor Virgilio Santos. I work in a school for about 15 years, and I know the reality of a school work. My question here is about what Mr. Ferro said about the right of everyone have the possibility of choosing the school of the club to develop sport activity. Of course, not in the early stages, as my colleague said, and the table. Of course, that's logical. Sports, very wide range. But I'm telling you about basic and secondary school. I'm a teacher of that stage, and I think it's possible to make excellency sport at school. I would like to know your idea about that. Mr. Ferro said that it's a right for the student to choose the school or the club. I think, because I always work in the school, I think we have also possibilities to make that kind of excellency at school. I would like to know the opinion of the table. And Mr. Professor Elder Lopes about his conception of school model and sport at school.
I also think that school could be a place for excellence in sport and other things. The reality is that in school we have a lot of kids. We can see all the kids doing something related with physical education and sports. They can move in our classes. We can watch them. We can try to find what kids that have a special talent for sports, and we can organize them in that way. So I really think that the basis of the sport building should be the school, because they really can build projects with really solid foundations. And we have a lot of examples in all our country that a lot of school clubs can reach a very high level when they have all the tools that they need to organize the sport in school. but it's really the space that should be the most supported to make the sport.
Professor will talk in Portuguese, and then Catarina Barros will talk the English version.
De uma forma muito simples, acho que aquilo que temos que fazer é um conjunto de perguntas. O que é a educação igual ao papel da escola? Eu entendo que deve ser desenvolver as capacidades e as potencialidades de cada indivíduo. Se assim for, então perguntemos, estamos a fazê-lo? Bom, se estamos a fazê-lo, continuemos, não se modifique nada. Se não estamos, então como é que podemos modificar sem destruir aquilo que há de bom? Não é? Aproveitando os bons professores, as boas ideias. Então é nesse aspecto que nós propomos a criação de uma academia, ou seja, reformular sem destruir aquilo que tem de bom. Portanto, para facilitar, não digo muito mais.
I don't know if I can summarize all this, but if I have some problem, I will ask you to repeat it. So the professor said that we have to ask several questions before we can start developing this idea. He defends that we have to develop the abilities of every individual, and we have to ask if we are doing it. And if we are not doing it, we have to change that, and we cannot. It's difficult, and we cannot destroy everything we know. So if you can't destroy everything you know, we can recreate or create a creative destruction. So he proposes an academy where the human resources can be optimized, and the infrastructures of the schools also can be optimized. I don't know if it's...
Deixa ao início que é o que é educar igual ao papel da escola. Isso é que é importante a partir daí.
Volta a dizer, professor, volta a dizer que eu já não me lembro.
O que é educação igual ao papel da escola. Eu entendo que é desenvolver as capacidades e as potencialidades dos indivíduos. Estamos ou não a fazê-lo?
So he asked me to emphasize that we have to know the school, the main purpose of the school. What is the main purpose of the school? And he believes that we have to develop each one's potential. I think that's it.
Nuno Ferro once.
Just to conclude the idea, because I think sometimes we are too much focused in the high-level sport competition, and I think that give to a child the opportunity to play a sport is a part of education. So I think the question should be, how can we increase the number of kids that play sports in Portugal? How can we do it? And only to see to the top, it's a narrow aim, and I think we need to do more to put more kids playing in the right level that they could do. I think that's something that we should think about it. And the question should be, what should we do to increase the number of kids playing sports?
My question is because we have the students, we have the teachers, who sometimes are trainers and work in the federation system, and we have the infrastructure. We have everything for the clubs to be in the school, and the sport is a very powerful instrument to combat the insuccess, the school levels, because the most important activity, not mandatory, is sport. So sport is very powerful, and we have to have place for students who play very well their sport, and the others, sport for everyone, but different levels, for the best and for the worst. A place, because I don't feel very well working in a school where I work for the disabled one, because the students who have abilities, normally the federation system will take them, and I don't think it's very good for the image of the school, because we can do a nice job in the school. It's possible to do everything in school. Of course, with the educational matters in the head. That's why I made that question, because we have everything in the school. For example, the Swiss model is very interesting. The defense ministry have the organization system. It's also a question of technical laws and all that. It's not very easy. But I think it's very important for school, not the top model as federation system, but we can work for excellency at school. Different way from federation model, I think. That's my idea. Not the same level. For example, I know that in football, for example, in some countries, some top clubs are forbidden parents to assist their games. I don't know if federation sport is synonymous of sport, pedagogical, and education. I don't know exactly. I know at school we should have different purpose, and it's possible to work excellency in this kind of view. That's my opinion. I don't know if you agree or not.
Okay, I mentioned that we totally separate federated sport and PE in school, and I'm happy with that because I think that the topics of the federated sports isn't the topic of PE. And we have our pupil in school, and they don't leave because of a football club or I don't know. They have to stay in school. They have to spend the 3 lessons, and when they want to go to the football club, they can go afterwards. But they have to be in school, and we have all the pupil. But I don't know whether I
For
understand.
example, the school doesn't have the opportunity for that student to play football in his school?
No. It's not matter of school, playing football or playing basketball or what else. We do sports.
I don't know if Rosemary wants to intervene too.
I'm sorry, I'm not sure that I was clear with this. But first of all, I would like to agree with you that in school we can go for excellency. This is the first thing. And if we compare physical education or school sport with learning how to read or how to write, not all the children are going to be poets. But they have the right to learn how the best way to write and to read. And this is the excellency for us. We have to go as far as possible with the one that we have. But some of them are going to be excellent per se, but the other one, the excellency will be at another level. So I think our job is to go for excellency for sure. For sure. I agree with you totally.
Okay. Other questions? Oh, you have the last one? Okay. Thank you.
Just speaking about the kids in Madeira, the kids that play basketball in a club, they can't play in sports school basketball in games between the schools. In other countries, France and other ones, I didn't hear speak about that subject. I want to hear the opinion of you there. What's your opinion about what we are doing in Madeira? About in what you do in your countries? Like in the kids that play in a club basketball can't play basketball in sports school between schools. In your countries, if they do that, they can play in a club and in the school, between schools, the same sport.
I don't know if anyone wants to say something, Rudy?
I can do the beginning. We don't have competitions between schools. We have one day in the year wherever we have about 3,000 pupils, one day at one place, and that's it. We don't have competitions between schools. And so why shouldn't they play in school when they are in a club? But of course, if you have a national team from a club in a school sports event, it isn't very, very good. But we have no competitions.
I can say something. in Finland we have this one association who is organizing all these competitions between the schools, and in Finland everybody can participate those competitions, and I think it's very good for those who are talented because they can show in sports that they are good. Maybe it could be so that they are not good in any other subjects. Maybe they are only good in sports, and now if they can't participate, they can't show that they are good in sports. I think it this way.
Well, in the Czech Republic, it is that children in school who are participating also in top clubs, they probably can participate because we don't have like the whole team in one school, so they are part of the team, which is which contains also other children who are not on the top level. So they just add or complement or complete the team.
Maybe in some canton, when we prepare the game for the National Day, we go like this. We allowed 1 or 2 participants in each team, so that we have not a full team from the sport club. But if they are members of the sport club, so that but 1 or 2 on the field together, not more, and it works well because they have the chance to play, and also they are involved in the class also then.
For me, depend the level of the children, because if the children begin to practice sport in the school and they want to continue during the weekend and is involved in sports federation, okay, I'm not agree to say to the children, no, stop now to practice school in the sport. In France, about the rules in France, we have a different system. Until you are not in the, how can I translate it, is a national team, something like this, national center of training, you can practice sport with the other children. When you are in the national preparation team, okay, you can practice in the same competition, but we have another level of competition. We have the level of competition, the name is for school, for all the children. Inside the team, you can have 1 or 2 or 5 players. And we have another level, higher level, the name is excellent, is for the team who are involved in some study and sport. It's a special preparation for them, and who is taken in charge sometimes by the federation. Because the sports school, in our idea, we want to let the possibility for all the students to practice sport in this sports school. Because sometimes the rules are not the same. Sometimes you can meet and practice with your friend in the school. Sometimes you can travel and meet the other school. So we have different rules in France about this question.
I think the only way to solve that problem, because it's normally a problem, it's a problem because sometimes the school have a lot of good basketball players, but school sport team of basketball under 14, it's not the strongest team of the school. And that it's a problem when schools want to have sport really as in the project of the school. Especially for international contacts with school sports, there are many differences between all the countries. There are countries that made the selection of the best players of volleyball to go to the international games. And in Portugal, there's always that discussion about it. I agree with that. If a kid plays in the club, he already has his amount of sport games in the club, and the school should be for the others. But I think that, like this, seems that the sport in the club will be always better, and I think that the school should be able to play with them, against them, and that problem should be a little bit solved.
Okay, is there any question more? If not, I would like to say a few words just to thank all the people who visit us. Claude Shoa, Marcos Onofre, Nuno Ferro, Martin Holzweg, Claude Shoa is already, Rita Pajavi Milhau, something like that. Rudy Schmidt, Jana Vazikova, more or less, Bruno Cremonese, Mário Durão, and Rosemary Repond, and naturally our teacher, our professor, Elder Lopes. From that on, just remember that this was an event organized by the regional secretary, put on place by the regional education department, and in partnership with Eupea and with SPEF. I have to make a special thanks to SPEF because they had give us some publications that I have to thanks. They will be after that. We are trying to see where to put it on for use of all the colleagues in physical education. They are scientific publications of SPEF. Thank you all. See you next time.